And joining me now for more details on both the release and the video, Julian Assange. He's co-founder and editor of the website. Hi there, Julian. So first of all, this video is disturbing, to say the least. I mean, gruesome images here. Take me through the process of releasing this video with you and the folks over at Wikileaks. How did you first receive the video? Was it coded? And do you stand by the authenticity, not just of the pictures, but also the subtitles that we see there?
Absolutely. There's no question as to the authenticity. The subtitles we created from the audio track to make sure that people could understand precisely what was going on. Some of the military terminology is a bit hard to comprehend, and there was radio static.
So who was overseeing that to make sure that everything was in fact correct? Like you said, the military terminology and that what we saw in words was exactly what was said.
Yes, that was me. We got the video originally in encrypted form and knew very little about it. And it took quite some time to understand the significance of the material that we had and also to break the encryption that was on that video.
Did you have military personnel helping you to break that encryption? I mean, take me through that process a little bit.
Not to break it, but we have a number of cryptographers and other security experts and lots of volunteer computer time. So that's just a matter of going through the most probable passwords that something might be encrypted with. So several millions of passwords to find the one that was used.
How long did it take for you to do all this? I mean, between now and the time when you originally received this video, how much time are we talking about here?
Well, we never disclose when we originally receive things because that might be used to correlate to the source. But it is fair to say that we spent at least 3 months working on that material.
Okay, at least 3 months. So let's go back to July 2007 when this attack first occurred. The military at that time had said that every person who was killed was an insurgent and that the military had abided by the rules of engagement. We know now that they weren't insurgents, but let's talk about this issue of the rules of engagement. Did the military really abide by those rules, or was it a cover-up in this case, do you think?
Well, it seems to me that having read the rules, that you can push them. So if you want to sort of bend them or twist them or find loopholes, you can do that. And then it's up to a military court to sort of interpret whether soldiers have broken them or not. But what we see in practice in this case is the military said that the rules were obeyed. So there is a problem. Either the rules permit what is clearly impermissible moral offences, or the process of the adjudication of those rules is in error. So
well, I want you to elaborate on that. I mean, does this say, okay, this process is wrong, and if so, who should be held accountable?
What we have seen over the past few years is very, very rare in these circumstances for US soldiers to be prosecuted. There has been under 20 related attempts at prosecution over the past 7 years.
But if they're abiding by these rules that your website has also leaked, then they can't really be prosecuted. So what's the next step? I mean, isn't there a higher figure, perhaps the Pentagon, who should be held accountable?
So in those previous cases, many of the prosecutions originated because the media exposed the moral abuse, and there was a political response, which was to push for the prosecution. So this is a case, I believe, where you can see that the internal military mechanisms do not work to bring justice or accountability. And so it is the court of the public, the jury of public opinion, that will try these soldiers and their commanders. And the people who decided that all this action was within the rules of engagement.
Now, we know now that 2 Reuters employees had been killed, and perhaps some of the most disturbing footage of the video shows a van pulling up when one of the Reuters employees is wounded on the side of the road, and they try to help him, and then U.S. soldiers fire on that van. There are also children in that vehicle. Can you just elaborate for us on this specific scenario?
Yes, I can't see any excuse for this. In the first part, you can make some argument that they didn't really pay attention. It was the heat of war, and they confused a telephoto camera for an RPG. That's a hard argument to make, but you can make it. A difficult argument because there's only two people who appear to have weapons out of a much larger group, and they appear to be acting peacefully. But for the attack on a van, rescuing a wounded person, totally prone, weaponless, the people in the van are weaponless, I cannot see any excuse for this whatsoever.
What does the release of this video say about the role of your website and websites like that in the media? Are you essentially now the new fourth estate, the watchdogs, so to speak?
Well, reporters that don't have new information, to some degree, have nothing useful to say. And what keeps people honest and what keeps our management over civilization going is we understand how the world actually works. So the first step in the fourth estate is to get information out about the real world. And the second step is to comment on it and to think about it. But we need sources that can get restricted information out to the public. The restricted information is very interesting economically. So when information is held back by a bank or the Pentagon, and extra tension is used to suppress it. In this particular case, Reuters applied for this information under the Freedom of Information Act and spent the last 2.5 years trying to get it, and were not able to. Usually that suppression is a result of fear. So in this particular case, it seems that the Pentagon or the US military at some level was scared of that information coming out because of the reform effect of it coming out.
If traditional media, traditional American media, got their hands on this footage, would they air it in its entirety the way that you guys did on your website? What do you think?
I don't know, but I don't think so. I think that is quite unlikely. In fact...
Why is that?
It seems that a Washington Post reporter at some stage had access to this material. He writes about part of the transcript in one of his book, The Good Soldiers, by David Finkel. But the video didn't come out. It seems he had access to it at some stage. It didn't come out, and he didn't really address the issues with the victims.